about Erika Kirk?
Erika Kirk? Oh.
What do you think about Erika Kirk?
Would I get sued?
Throw it in the pile.
Oh,
of course you will.
I don't want to say anything that's controversial. She did it, but I don't.
Several commentators who claim expertise began breaking down Erika's public appearances, comparing her behavior to what's commonly seen in visible grief responses. And that's when the online debate got even louder.
I have an amazing girlfriend. She's spectacular.
Is she in politics?
Not really, no.
What can you tell us about her?
She's
What would
beautiful.
you be willing?
She's reverent.
She's a reverend? I didn't know this about her.
She's reverent.
Oh.
The conclusions from these analysts are all over the place. None of it is proven, none of it is official, but the conversation picked up serious speed online. Some critics even started using the phrase "the happy widow." They're not calling it a diagnosis, they say it's just how her public demeanor comes across to them. Supporters shut that down fast. They argue that labeling someone like that is unfair and ignores how complex grief can be.
I was like, wait, this is new. I don't know if we'll want to keep that or not.
Oh, you better keep it.
What's an example? What do you mean?
She's prayerful. She believes in God. She's a great person. She believes in other people. She always thinks of other people before herself. She's very fun.
Critics push back and say their concern isn't about emotion, it's about optics and presentation, and that's where the tension really sits. What nobody can deny is this: the spotlight moved. Instead of just debating conflicting explanations about the event itself, people began focusing on Erika's behavior, her messaging, and how visible she's been. Media appearances, promotional moments, tightly managed narratives, all of it started getting dissected online. And here's where many viewers say their whole perspective shifted. While everyone was arguing over what happened, they began asking a different question entirely. Not just what happened, but who benefits from how this story is being told. That's why the discussion hasn't faded away. It's not about one viral clip or one podcast episode. It's the pattern people believe they're noticing. The more content that resurfaces, the more some viewers say they see gaps that still feel unresolved. And as fresh material keeps circulating, one thing is clear. This story isn't just about an event anymore. It's about perception, narrative control, and who shapes the version of reality that people end up believing. That's exactly why so many eyes are still locked on
Owens
it.
has released the call Erika Kirk made just 11 days after Charlie was gone, and it gets pretty disturbing. Then she shows this 5-minute clip of Erika Kirk smiling and laughing only 5 days after the loss of Charlie.
Oh, look at all the thumbs up. Look how cute that is. Sorry, this is a little bit more informal than probably Charlie would be reacting. How sweet. I didn't know they could do that. I hate Zoom. I never liked it.
For most people, the days after a sudden loss follow a pattern. Sleep disappears, appetite fades, your thoughts feel scattered and heavy. Everything feels slow and unreal. That's the kind of reaction many viewers instinctively expect when someone is dealing with deep shock and grief. But according to a wave of online reactions, some felt that's not how Erika Kirk appeared in the days after Charlie Kirk's passing. Just a short time later, she showed up on camera at Turning Point USA headquarters, and this specific appearance is what many viewers say lit the spark that turned quiet questions into full-blown online debate. People watching closely zeroed in on her demeanor. They pointed out that she was smiling, not a small, restrained expression. They described it as broad and energetic. And that detail, more than anything else in that moment, is what critics say shifted the tone of the entire conversation.
His name is Tyler Massey, and she dated him in 2015. Here we have them doing Fashion Week in Phoenix together. And in the caption to this photo posted by Jack Nicole, so Jack Nicole was the designer of Erika's outfit, hashtag this photo cute couple. And here's some more photos that were...
So here's what's got everyone's head spinning right now. Is this really how someone usually acts after losing a spouse in a sudden, brutal way? People online are watching every move like it's a microscope moment. And that's why a lot of viewers keep asking, are we seeing grief or is there more happening off camera? Not saying anyone knows for sure, but the internet loves connecting dots, and this situation has folks side-eyeing hard. Now for the context people keep circling back to. Before she met 𝗝cie Kirk, Erika had past relationships that some online commenters say were later played down or left out of the public story. One name that keeps popping up is Tyler 𝗝cie, who Erika was publicly linked to around 2015. Photos from that time show them showing up at events together, including fashion-related appearances in Phoenix. Back then, even designers were calling them a cute couple at events. There was nothing wrong or unusual about it at all, but here's where people started raising eyebrows. Later on, there were claims that Erika hadn't been in any serious relationships for years before meeting 𝗝cie. That's the part that didn't sit right with some viewers. It's not about breaking rules, it's about the timeline not lining up, and that's what kicked off fresh scrutiny online. Now let's get into 𝗝cie himself. He wasn't just some random name in the background. 𝗝cie was a major voice in conservative circles, young, ambitious, and never shy about speaking his mind. As the founder of Turning Point USA, he built a strong presence by debating, organizing, and expanding his influence across college campuses all over the country.
Kirk actually had 2 boyfriends within the 5 years before meeting 𝗝cie Kirk, so why lie about this?
In the footage, she held up 𝗝cie's Medal of Freedom and showed it proudly to staff members. She spoke with energy about his legacy, about purpose, and about the future of the organization. The mood in the room didn't feel heavy or quiet. To some observers, it felt upbeat, motivational, even close to celebratory. Now, let's be clear about this. People handle grief in their own way. There isn't one correct reaction to loss. Psychology makes it clear that emotions can show up in all kinds of forms, and nobody should be judged just because they don't cry on cue. That part matters. But when viewers stacked that footage against what they personally connect with, early-stage grief, many said the difference felt intense. They expected to see exhaustion, shock, maybe visible heaviness. Instead, they saw confidence, forward-looking talk, and steady composure. That contrast is what hit people hard. One comment under the clip exploded and pulled in millions of views. It said, "Everyone grieves differently, but no one grieves like this." That sentence spread fast and became a quick way for critics to sum up what they were feeling but couldn't quite explain. And the moment didn't stand alone either. Then, more footage started popping up once viewers began putting everything side by side. When people watched the clips back to back instead of separately, some said they started noticing patterns that made them uneasy. One clip that spread quickly showed Erika arriving at a gathering in a vehicle. On the surface, she looked visibly emotional. It seemed like a clear moment of sorrow. But after people slowed the video down and replayed it several times, critics began asking if the emotion felt natural or staged. That's when the comment sections exploded. Some viewers described the crying as exaggerated. Others compared it to acting instead of a raw, unplanned reaction. Words like forced and theatrical kept showing up again and again in replies. The tone online shifted from simple curiosity to intense scrutiny. To be fair, these are opinions. They are not medical conclusions or proven facts. But when large groups of people independently say they feel the same kind of discomfort watching something, that reaction becomes part of the wider public conversation, whether anyone likes it or not.
Can I be involved? I'm like, absolutely. So I met her, and I was like, we've got to put her behind the president. So I had my family behind the president, my grandpa who just passed away just a few months ago.
Many viewers admitted they couldn't even explain exactly what felt off. They just said their instincts kept telling them something didn't line up. It was the timing, the tone, the quick switch between deeply emotional moments and highly energized appearances. That sharp contrast is what kept people replaying the clips over and over again. At the same time, even some critics stopped and asked a fair question. What if this really is just how Erika processes grief? What if everyone else is projecting their own expectations onto her in a way that isn't fair? That part of the debate is real too. So people began drawing comparisons, not to attack, but to add context. One name that kept coming up online was Vanessa Bryant, who faced an unimaginable loss years ago. After that tragedy, Vanessa stepped back almost completely from the public spotlight. When she did appear publicly later on, many viewers described her emotions as visibly raw and heavy. Online discussions weren't claiming one response was correct and the other was wrong. Instead, people said the contrast between the two situations felt hard to ignore. Side-by-side clips started circulating, and once those comparisons hit social media, the conversation reached a whole new level. On one side of the comparison, viewers saw a widow who could barely get words out through visible grief. On the other side, they saw a widow speaking about future plans, new opportunities, and organizational growth with clear excitement. That side-by-side contrast is what hit social media like a shockwave. That's when the harsh phrase started spreading online, the happy widow. A lot of people find that term uncomfortable, even cruel. Supporters say it crosses a line and ignores how complex grief really is. Critics, though, argue they're not claiming to know her private emotions. They say they're reacting to what they see publicly and how it comes across. And that's where the controversy locked in tight. The discussion shifted away from judging feelings and moved toward optics, messaging, and public trust. Whether someone agrees with the criticism or thinks it's unfair, one thing stands out. Those clips changed how many viewers interpret the entire situation. Once that perception shifted, the scrutiny only grew louder. It wasn't about one viral video or one bold comment anymore. People began looking at the full pattern, stacking moments together, and asking bigger questions about consistency and presentation. That broader view is what left many feeling unsettled.
Down Phoenix, Erika 𝗲cie. Scottsdale, 𝗲cie. That means your new Miss Arizona USA 2012.
And now let's hear it for South Phoenix, Tanya
Congratulations,
Mendez.
Erika 𝗲cie, and happy birthday, Erika.
Supporters continue to stress an important point. Grief doesn't follow a script. People react in deeply personal ways, and there isn't a single correct response to devastating loss. That truth remains at the center of the debate, even as the conversation keeps rolling forward with no signs of slowing down. In several public clips, critics say she appears unusually energized and future-focused at a time when many people would expect someone to look emotionally weighed down. That's the part that keeps coming up in online discussions. For them, it's not about one single appearance. It's the overall tone across multiple interviews and events. They say they don't notice much visible heaviness, hesitation, or strain. Instead, they see confidence, momentum, and what looks like readiness to step into the next chapter without pause. That consistent vibe is what stands out to them. Now, stepping into a major leadership position right after a personal tragedy is a massive responsibility. For most people, that would feel emotionally draining. Many might approach it with a solemn sense of duty, maybe even visible overwhelm or caution. That's what some viewers say they expected to see. But in the interviews that made the rounds online, critics say Erika sounded openly enthusiastic about continuing the mission and taking on the role. In certain clips, she even uses words like excited and blessed while talking about future plans and new opportunities with supporters. That language is what really caught attention. Supporters interpret that as strength and resilience. They see someone trying to stay steady and keep things moving during a painful time. Critics, on the other hand, describe it as jarring. They say the energy feels mismatched with what they personally associate with early grief. That perceived disconnect is what pushed the debate into overdrive. On platforms like TikTok, users began creating side-by-side compilations, zooming in on tone, phrasing, facial expressions, and body language. Every pause, every smile, every word choice started getting analyzed frame by frame, and the conversation only grew louder from there. The clips didn't just circulate, they were slowed down, replayed, and lined up side by side across different interviews. That's when the debate really turned up. People started asking, is this simply a unique way of coping, or does it come across more like someone confidently stepping into a promotion? Then another moment added even more fuel to the discussion. In one segment, Erika talked about continuing to use Charlie's social media platforms, keeping the content active and preserving his voice online moving forward. That comment instantly split the audience. On the surface, many supporters see that as a tribute, keeping memories alive, keeping his message moving, making sure his work doesn't fade away. That perspective frames it as loyalty and dedication.
Got a little bacon, babe. That's deep in there. Give them a cleavage. People want cleavage. Showcase it. Sells. That's me. So it's not within the confines of marriage.
Supporters continue to stress an important point. Grief doesn't follow a script. People react in deeply personal ways, and there isn't a single correct response to devastating loss. That truth remains at the center of the debate, even as the conversation keeps rolling forward with no signs of slowing down. In several public clips, critics say she appears unusually energized and future-focused at a time when many people would expect someone to look emotionally weighed down. That's the part that keeps coming up in online discussions. For them, it's not about one single appearance, it's the overall tone across multiple interviews and events. They say they don't notice much visible heaviness, hesitation, or strain. Instead, they see confidence, momentum, and what looks like readiness to step into the next chapter without pause. That consistent vibe is what stands out to them. Now, stepping into a major leadership position right after a personal tragedy is a massive responsibility. For most people, that would feel emotionally draining. Many might approach it with a solemn sense of duty, maybe even visible overwhelm or caution. That's what some viewers say they expected to see. But in the interviews that made the rounds online, critics say Erika sounded openly enthusiastic about continuing the mission and taking on the role. In certain clips, she even uses words like excited and blessed while talking about future plans and new opportunities with supporters. That language is what really caught attention. Supporters interpret that as strength and resilience. They see someone trying to stay steady and keep things moving during a painful time. Critics, on the other hand, describe it as jarring. They say the energy feels mismatched with what they personally associate with early grief. That perceived disconnect is what pushed the debate into overdrive. On platforms like TikTok, users began creating side-by-side compilations, zooming in on tone, phrasing, facial expressions, and body language. Every pause, every smile, every word choice started getting analyzed frame by frame, and the conversation only grew louder from there. The clips didn't just circulate, they were slowed down, replayed, and lined up side by side across different interviews. That's when the debate really turned up. People started asking, is this simply a unique way of coping, or does it come across more like someone confidently stepping into a promotion? Then another moment added even more fuel to the discussion. In one segment, Erika talked about continuing to use Charlie's social media platforms, keeping the content active and preserving his voice online moving forward. That comment instantly split the audience. On the surface, many supporters see that as a tribute, keeping memories alive, keeping his message moving, making sure his work doesn't fade away. That perspective frames it as loyalty and dedication.
I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone.
But critics looked at it differently. They questioned whether continuing to post on a late person's platform could drift into uncomfortable territory. They asked, is this honoring a legacy, or could it start to feel like brand management? That question hit hard because it touches on authenticity, intention, and public optics all at once. At this point, it's important to keep things grounded. None of these reactions online prove wrongdoing or hidden motives. They reflect perception, not verified facts. That distinction matters. Still, the conversation kept evolving. Some online commentators who claim expertise in communication and nonverbal behavior began sharing their interpretations, not as hard evidence, but as analysis. They broke down facial expressions, tone shifts, and phrasing, offering opinions on what certain cues might suggest. And with every new breakdown video, the spotlight only grew brighter. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Body language is not a built-in lie detector. A short clip, especially one taken out of context, cannot fully reveal what someone is feeling inside. People smile while under extreme stress. People look calm in public while breaking down in private. And public-facing moments can be rehearsed, structured, or simply someone trying their best to stay functional under pressure. What is true, though, is that Erika's public presentation has become a major focal point in this entire situation, not because it proves wrongdoing, but because perception shapes trust. When audiences feel a gap between what they expect to see and what's actually in front of them, scrutiny naturally ramps up. That's just how public attention works. Right now, the divide is clear. Some viewers see her tone as strength, composure, and a sense of duty during a difficult time. Others describe it as overly polished, almost strategic. And the more clips that surface, the more people dig into whichever interpretation they already lean toward. Every new video becomes confirmation for one side or the other. So the real takeaway isn't a verdict, it's a question. Are people reacting to grief that simply doesn't match their personal expectations, or are they responding to what feels like tightly managed messaging? That tension is what keeps this debate alive and growing. Many viewers online now point to so-called expert commentary as validation for what they say they sensed from the beginning, that the public tone doesn't line up with what they associate with early-stage grief. Still, it's important to stay fair and grounded. Interpretation is not proof, and perception is not the same as fact. No breakdown of facial expressions or body language can prove what someone is truly feeling inside. At best, it gives interpretation, and interpretation can absolutely miss the mark, especially when it's built on short, selective clips, edited footage, and high-pressure public appearances. A camera never shows the full emotional picture. Still, the discussion hasn't slowed down. In fact, it's grown. More than one commentator has analyzed the same key moments, which made people feel like there must be something worth looking at. When multiple voices focus on the same clips, it naturally adds weight to the conversation, even if nothing is proven.
Yeah, we went to Maggiano's. I picked her up. It was raining, kind of different night in Arizona, and picked her up at her house and later met her mom on the first night.
It's a big deal for the
Exciting
first night.
stuff.
One of the biggest flashpoints remains the idea Erika mentioned about keeping Charlie's online presence active. In several clips, she spoke about continuing his message digitally and maintaining his voice across platforms. Supporters describe that as a tribute. They see it as protecting a legacy and making sure his work doesn't fade away. Critics, however, say it makes them uneasy. They ask whether continuing to post in someone's name could blur the line between honoring a memory and maintaining reach or influence. That question alone has kept debates running strong because it touches on authenticity and intention at the same time. Beyond expert commentary, the real engine behind this story has been everyday viewers. Regular people are the ones replaying interviews, pausing clips, comparing statements, and searching for consistency. Not because they claim professional authority, but because they're trying to make sense of what they're seeing. One widely shared breakdown zeroed in on the production style of a public memorial gathering. Some viewers said the dramatic staging and high-energy atmosphere felt out of sync with what they personally expect from a solemn event. Others pushed back and pointed out that large public tributes are often produced that way, and that production style doesn't automatically reflect on Erika herself. Then came the part that truly split opinions down the middle, and that's when the conversation reached another level entirely.
She actually never lived there. They said that she simply visited for 2 weeks, like a tourist, just to visit the Great Wall. And
critics started going through emotional moments frame by frame, claiming certain reactions felt timed to music cues or camera angles. They argued the delivery looked too polished, almost like it was synced for impact.
Okay, that's good.
You're a bright light in a very dark place.
So let's go grab a mojito. How are you attracted to it?
Supporters fired back fast, saying that kind of analysis crosses a line. They called it invasive, unfair, and impossible to truly validate. After all, grief doesn't follow a script, especially not in public settings under bright lights and pressure. And honestly, both sides raise real points. There are solid reasons why someone might look composed on camera while privately struggling. Cameras capture seconds, not sleepless nights. At the same time, there are also understandable reasons why audiences react strongly when a public figure's tone seems to shift across different appearances. When people sense inconsistency, even if it's subjective, they start asking questions. That tension is what keeps this debate alive and loud. It all circles back to perception versus intention, and that's where this connects to the bigger theme Joe Rogan brought up, not as proof of anything, but as a lens some viewers are using to process the entire situation. As listeners describe it, his broader message was simple. When public narratives start stacking up with contradictions, average people begin losing confidence that clear answers will ever come. Discussions turn into loops, conflicting details dominate headlines, core questions get buried under waves of commentary and reaction videos. The noise gets so loud that clarity feels out of reach. To be clear, that doesn't automatically mean there's some hidden plot behind the scenes. Sometimes stories feel chaotic because people are human, and humans are complicated. Communication can be messy. Institutions sometimes release information in ways that feel incomplete or poorly timed. That alone can create confusion without any secret agenda attached. And that's exactly why this conversation continues to spin, not because everyone agrees, but because uncertainty leaves room for interpretation, and interpretation keeps people watching closely. Joe's perspective connects with a lot of people because it puts words to that stuck feeling. The more layered and confusing the story seems, the harder it becomes for anyone to feel confident they truly understand what happened. When details feel tangled, clarity feels out of reach. So where does that leave things? It leaves a stack of unresolved questions that viewers keep circling back to again and again. Is Erika simply grieving in a way that doesn't match public expectations? Is she holding it together in front of cameras while dealing with everything privately? Did she shift into leadership mode because she felt pressure to step up fast? Or are people reacting to what they see as overly polished messaging and controlled optics? Those are the questions fueling this entire debate. The truth is, no one watching online can know her internal reality. Speculation shouldn't turn into certainty. That line matters. At the same time, it's understandable why people keep asking questions when major public moments feel emotionally or visually inconsistent to them. Perception shapes reaction, whether it's fair or not. Now it comes down to perspective. Do you see this as an unusual grief response under extreme public pressure? Or do you think the messaging and presentation raise real concerns? If this breakdown made you think, hit that like button so more people see it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Share this with someone who's been following the story, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand on all of this.